Wendell Carter is coming back. He's all but confirmed it. What the Magic are getting back in Wendell Carter and how they did without him, plus the way the bench makes a difference. And my pitch to you to vote Paolo Banchero. It's time for Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is, or will be, December 20th, 2023. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the expert and site editor over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com. Of course, follow me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, Wendell Carter is set to return. Off the injury report, he's all but confirmed it. Wendell Carter will be back for the Orlando Magic tonight against the Miami Heat. We'll talk about what the Magic are getting back with Wendell Carter, as well as how the Magic fared without him. We'll get to that, plus talk about the bench and Paolo's All-Star candidacy coming up here in just a moment. But first, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day, no matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right when we upload. We truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. Remember, there's a great Locked On podcast covering every single team in the NBA. Just search for Locked On and the team you're looking for, the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. The Orlando Magic like to play coy with injury reports, as they always do. We were told at practice on Tuesday afternoon that Wendell Carter had gone through a little bit more in practice, taken a little bit more contact. We could still see his left hand, not his right hand. His left hand was still very clearly kind of wrapped up. But we were told that he was inching closer, just doing a little bit more, and that, yes, Markelle Fultz may have suffered a minor setback. That Wendell Carter was closer to returning than Markelle Fultz was. Again, we could debate the Markelle Fultz thing. Look, I was at practice or at the end of practice. He was shooting around with Gary Harris and Goga Bitadze. Did not look much worse for the wear. Whatever setback this is, honestly, that was probably just Jamal Mosley doing some wordplay. Not quite ready to announce that the Magic would have Wendell Carter back on Wednesday, but didn't want to tell us that. But the news came down later in the afternoon. Wendell Carter no longer on the Magic's injury report. Markelle Fultz is out. Wendell Carter no longer on the injury report at his Boys to Men Christmas party event. He spoke to Dan Savage of OrlandoMagic.com and all but confirmed that Wendell Carter will make his first appearance with the Orlando Magic of the season since November 2nd, when he went up for that rebound, that critical rebound in the win over the Utah Jazz. Now, look, this is a big deal. Wendell has not had the greatest season so far, averaging just 9.4 points per game. That would be a career low if that persists, and 8.6 rebounds per game. Certainly a low for him since joining the Magic. He's shooting just 57.1% from the line, a 43.3% effective field goal percentage. It was not a great start offensively for Wendell Carter, but that was also the first 5 games when nobody on the Magic seemed capable of making shots. What Wendell Carter brings to this team, though, immediately, and almost certainly immediately, is at least a threat of that shot. And look, he'll shoot better. He shot 52.5% from floor last year, 35.6% from three on 3.9 three-point attempts per game. He's at 31.3% on 3.2 attempts per game this year. He's going to be fine. We all know Wendell is steady, but really what he brings to this team is his defense. In those 5 games, extremely small sample size, so let's not read too much into it. Opponents were shooting just 13 for 33 at the rim against him. That's 39% from the floor at the rim in these like supposedly easy shots. Wendell Carter is going to make a huge impact on this team defensively. And look, the Magic's defense at the beginning of the season was fantastic. Let's not pretend that it wasn't just otherworldly at the start of the season. But even then, the Magic were better with Carter on the floor. Carter just made that team a better defensive team in so many ways. Orlando's defense is fine. Magic, without Carter, the Magic still have a defensive rating of 111.3 points per 100 possessions, the sixth best defensive rating since November 3rd. It's not like the Magic were playing poorly defensively, but there was some key slipping. And look, again, Orlando's defense was fine. Goga Bitadze especially has done a fantastic job defensively. He has been a great rim protector. He has been a great paint protector. He has been just solid, just gobbling up rebounds, blocking shots, just being active around the basket. Goga Bitadze does a lot of the things the Magic need from this team. But from a raw number perspective, on the numbers that really matter for this Magic team, there's been some slippage. The Magic are giving up 25 field goal attempts per game in the restricted area at 65.8%. Opponents shoot 16.9 attempts per game in the paint outside the restricted area at 44.1%. That is for the season. Before Carter's injury, that was just 23.8 field goal attempts per game in the restricted area, 7th in the league, at 58%, second lowest in the league. In fact, the Magic overall are giving up 47.2 points in the paint per game. That's 11th in the league. Again, that's an area where the Magic want to be really good at. When I get the box score, usually the first place I go to is points in the paint. I want to see how the Magic are scoring in the paint. I want to see how they're giving up in the paint. It's not necessarily about winning it. It's about dominating it. Before Carter's injury, they gave up 46 points in the paint per game. That was 8th in the league. Since Carter's injury, they've given up 48.2. 2 points may not sound like a lot, but when we're talking averages, we're talking the difference between being among the elite teams in the league at 8th in the league to being middle of the pack at 13th. Again, just looking at that. There's been some noticeable slipping, and Carter, but again, Bitadze's done a great job. Do not take this as me knocking Goga Bitadze and knocking the job that he's done. He has been excellent. He's stabilized this team. He's not there to score points. The Magic have a 106.8 defensive rating with Bitadze on the floor. Since November 3rd, since he entered the starting lineup, the Magic have a 107.4 defensive rating with a plus 9.9 net rating with Bitadze on the floor. He is good defensively. That is the reason he is in the NBA. That is the reason why he is on this team. But again, with Carter, the Magic had a 101.6 defensive rating with Carter on the floor. And yes, those first 5 games, the Magic's defense was killer. It was still two points per 100 possessions better than their average at 103.6. Again, Bitadze does a really good job. I have full trust in Goga Bitadze to do the job. Wendell Carter is just going to be that much better. And again, look, Bitadze giving up 54.2% shooting at the rim on 120 attempts. It's pretty robust. It's a pretty solid number for rim protection according to Second Spectrum. The Magic did the job defending the paint. Wendell Carter is just going to take them up another layer. It's going to make them that much better, just a little bit better. And they don't have to be much better. They just have to be a little bit better. And that's going to make this defense better. I mean, we've noticed the defense slipping over the last few weeks. Certainly the threat that Wendell Carter can be offensively also adds something to this team. No doubt about it. Look, Goga's been great. I don't want to cast aspersions on Goga Bitadze. Everyone has done their jobs during this stretch of play. But Wendell Carter is that dude. Wendell Carter can step out and hit an 18-foot jumper very comfortably. He can be a playmaker from the high post and be a pivot and have guys run off him and make those passes. And Goga has been an excellent passer this year, but Wendell Carter is that dude. This is a guy that is just an excellent screener, does not make some of the mistakes that Bitadze can make sometimes, and is a factor on the offensive end. If there is a problem with the Magic's lineup right now, it's Anthony Black as a usage rate under 15%, and Goga Bitadze's best offense is a putback on the offensive glass. Boston figured that out this weekend. We saw that play out, and that's a problem for this team to resolve and for this team to solve. This is a big moment, no doubt, for the Orlando Magic to start getting these players back and to start being at full health with how well they've started. We can fully expect this Magic team to play well. Carter defends the best players in this league really well. He guards Jokic well. He guards Embiid well. We'll see Embiid next week. This is a big, big, big return for Orlando, and Wendell Carter is going to make this team better. We really can't say otherwise. The good news about bringing players back is it means their depth improves. Not that the Magic needed help with that. We'll dive into some of the numbers about the bench and where they struggled over the weekend. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, it's time for a quick word from our friends over at eBay Motors. Our partners at eBay Motors have teamed up with Locked On Fantasy Basketball host Josh Lloyd to bring you some of the best fantasy picks each week, all season long. Whether you're preparing for a daily draft or scouting the waiver wire, every week we're going to provide you players that are guaranteed to fit on your roster. So let's see who Josh has picked out for us on this week's eBay's Guaranteed Fit Fantasy Players of the Week. We talked a little bit about Tari Eason yesterday. Let's give some love to Grayson Allen. The Phoenix Suns, the Magic will see them on New Year's Eve. Grayson Allen is going to be relied upon heavily for this Suns team with Bradley Beal out again. Allen should see strong minutes and a nice increased usage role for the next few weeks. If you need that three-point shooter, he's going to get plenty of shots because Devin Booker and Kevin Durant are going to soak up that much more attention. On the Magic side of things, obviously injuries are going to throw this lineup into a little bit of whack. If you have Goga Bitadze in your lineup on your fantasy team, now might be the time to shop him around. Now might be the time to put him on the waiver wire because unfortunately I do think Goga Bitadze is going to be the biggest casualty of Wendell Carter's return. I don't anticipate Bitadze being part of the rotation. Spot minutes here and there depending on when it's needed, but I do anticipate Mo Wagner will maintain the backup center role. Goga Bitadze will go back to the bench. That's my free advice for you. Josh Lloyd from Locked On Fantasy Basketball is going to help you win your fantasy championship. And eBay Motors knows a championship team is about each player being a perfect fit. It's the same with your vehicle. With more than 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you can make sure your ride stays running smoothly. Brake kits, LED headlights, roof rack, bumpers, whatever your baby needs, eBay Motors has it. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or your money back. Plus, at these prices, you're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. Before we get into the bench, let me tell you a little bit about the Locked On Sports Network's new 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel today. Now let's get into the bench. One of my favorite topics. I love watching this bench group. The Magic have one of the best benches in the league, and it has truly made a difference for this team. Look, we all know this Magic team is offensively challenged. They're a little bit below league average offensively, but we saw against Boston this weekend that this team still has some struggles scoring. And that's why getting a Wendell Carter back who's a little bit more aggressive and assertive offensively, getting a Markelle Fultz back very soon. Magic are going to Washington soon. Markelle does not want to miss the Magic's trip to DC. He loves playing in the DMV. Getting those guys back is so critical to what this team ultimately wants to accomplish and what this team wants to do, and just being able to stay afloat, having five guys who have a mindset of scoring. And look, Goga Bitadze will score when he's open. He will get to the basket. He's going to clean up and scavenge. I'm a scavenger. When I play pickup, I do not mind those points. They all count the same. But you need guys that are going to be aggressive and be options that defenses have to respect. And that's one thing this bench group has seemingly been able to build. They're the second, in terms of points per game off the bench, the Magic are second in the league in bench scoring. 45.1 points per game. They have an average plus minus of 1.2 points per game, plus 1.2 points per game. That's actually 11th in the league. So they do tend to give up a little bit of points, at least combining plus minuses and whatnot. But generally, they're really good. If you look at the Magic's usual bench lineups, Cole Anthony, Gary Harris, Joe Ingles, Jonathan Isaac, Mo Wagner has a plus 10.6 net rating with a stellar 100 points per 100 possessions defensive rating in 71 minutes together. So we're still dealing mostly with some of these lineups with smaller sample sizes, but this is I think the third or fourth most used lineup for the Magic is this all bench group. Take out Joe Ingles, who's a connector and a very good player, and put in Franz Wagner. That ups to 22.4 points per 100 possessions in 49 minutes. Again, defense is really strong. This bench group just seems to work, which is really what felt weird about this weekend. The Magic bench didn't do a good job. They had, they got outscored 47-33 in Friday's game. They were held to 31. They outscored Boston's bench 31-21 in Sunday's game. The bench struggling was a big part of the problem for the Magic. Over the year, Cole Anthony's averaging 14.8 points per game. He is among the early favorites to win Sixth Man of the Year. Mo Wagner is averaging 11.6 points per game. That's 26.4 points per game. The duo combined for 31 points total over the weekend, with Cole Anthony scoring 17 of those in Friday's game. I know I have talked a lot about what is this team's formula to win? What do Magic wins look like? And, you look at it, it's okay. Strong defense, winning the paint. It's winning the free throw battle, getting to the line 30 times a game, something the Magic also struggled with over the weekend against Boston. It's getting to the foul line 30 times a game. It's limiting turnovers, and it's winning the bench minutes. Having your bench provide an offensive lift to give the rest of the group some energy. The Magic had a really odd weekend because their starting group, which has been good, don't get me wrong, the numbers say they've been good, but they haven't been dominant. And certainly the dominance has waned as things have gone on. It's definitely time to get Wendell and Markelle back in the lineup. They need the injection. But the starters in both Friday and Sunday's game handed the bench a lead in that second quarter, in that late first quarter. And in both instances, they dropped the ball. They struggled. And look, some of that is the weird matchup. Some of that is Boston does a really good job staggering Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown so that one of those two guys is in at all times. And that puts a lot of stress on a defense, especially a second unit defense, even one as good as Orlando's second unit defense. And so that was winning those minutes and taking away that advantage. That's something the Magic are going to have to be wary about as they prepare for the playoffs. Again, we're always we're thinking about April. What does a playoff series look like for Magic? What does the playoff rotation look like for the Magic? Can they keep a 10-man rotation when they get to the postseason? Or are they going to have to trim it to 9, maybe 8 players? Look, I love Anthony Black. I think Anthony Black has been great. I think he has to play right now because he's played so well. His minutes are going to be limited in the playoffs. This weekend showed he is not a playoff-ready player. He's got to develop a shot or be a threat offensively to be a playoff-ready player. And I think a good chunk of the rest of the season is seeing if he fits with that bench group, with that bench lineup now to make an impact for the playoffs, because his defense is too good to leave on the bench. He is too quality of a player to leave on the bench. Caleb Houston, he's getting some good run, but he's been a little inconsistent. Some nights he looks really good and takes advantage of those spot minutes. Other nights, it's a struggle for him. The Magic have to start figuring out that play, or have to start at least thinking and pondering what a playoff rotation. And there's still time to develop and grow, and we're starting to see some experimenting. Boston allowed Orlando to try out a Paolo, Franz, Jonathan Isaac lineup. They didn't work, but it allowed them to try it. And I think they'll continue to try that and find pockets to try that throughout the course of the season, because that could be something they turn to in the playoffs. We're already thinking about April. But the Magic's depth is absolutely an advantage. The Magic's depth is absolutely something that this team and this group can build and grow on. And we fully expect the bench to win their minutes. We expect to look at the box score and see plus 12 for Cole Anthony, plus 14 for Mo Wagner, see all those players in the plus column, because when they're not, that's when the Magic have probably had a bad game. They probably had a poor game, and they're probably in a little bit of trouble. That's one of the things, and that's one of the benchmarks that we have to check. And I think the rest of the league knows it. The rest of the league is not going to concede those bench minutes to the Magic when they can help it. And look, the Magic have proven already this year that they don't need their best to beat the Washingtons, the bad teams in the league, the teams at the bottom of the standings. They can get away with a lot, even against a Toronto, a Chicago, maybe in Atlanta. We'll see. They can get away with a lot. They're good enough. But to beat quality opponents, to beat playoff caliber opponents, they're going to need their bench to deliver. And obviously that was something that was missing in Friday and Sunday's game in Boston. NBA All-Star voting has officially opened. It's time to make our case. Paolo Banchero's All-Star campaign has begun. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, it's time for a quick word from our friends over at Gametime. It is almost bowl season, or it is bowl season here in Central Florida, but it's almost time for the marquee events of December here in Central Florida. I am talking, of course, about the newly named Pop-Tarts Bowl, as well as the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. And if you want to see some of the best teams in college football, I mean, it is Iowa and Tennessee on New Year's Day. NC State, Kansas State is going to be a lot of fun, but if you want to see the best teams in college football here in Central Florida over at Camping World Stadium, Gametime is your ticket to the game. You should never have to worry when you're buying. When you're buying tickets to your next big event. Gametime is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, view from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. It's where I go to buy tickets. If you have any problems, they solve them quickly. The tickets are delivered right to your phone digitally. You get everything you could possibly want. They really have every event. I'm starting to look at tickets to the Royal Rumble in St. Pete, hoping to find a good deal to see the Rumble. We got some wrestling shows coming to town. AEW is going to be in town, but you're going to be at the Magic Sixers game anyway. If you want tickets to that game, Gametime is the place you want to go. They're really obsessed with finding ways to help you save money on tickets. They have deals on tickets right up to the start of the event. So even if you procrastinate like me, you can find tickets to the game or the event that you want to go to. They also have exclusive flash deals and sponsor deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. And with zone deals, you pick the section and Gametime picks the seats for an average of 18% savings. And the Gametime guarantee means you'll always get the best price if you find tickets in the same section and row for less. Gametime is going to credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Again, terms apply. Create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA. That's LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. All-Star voting has officially opened. If you care about the All-Star game, we'll have a double vote day on December 25th. So all votes count twice on Christmas Day. So remember to vote. You get one vote per day on the NBA app. I don't know if the rest of it is on NBA.com, but vote. Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner need your help to help their names just climb the list and just be in the conversation for All-Star Weekend. Now, look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that the Magic are going to send both players to All-Star Weekend or that either of them are going to start. I am once again hoping to renew the Tower Beam Alliance with our friends over in Sacramento with the Sacramento Kings, because all small markets have to stick together. If the Thunder, I don't know if the Thunder have a iconic part to their stadium, but if the Thunder want to join, we will happily vote for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as well. I am all for small markets helping each other get all-star votes. So Locked On Kings and Locked On Thunder, we're your guys. We're in your corner. I put my money where my mouth is. I voted for Domantas Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox today, as well as my All Magic lineup for my other all-star votes for the day. But let me make the case. The Magic are winning. They're going to get an all-star. if the Magic stay 4th or 5th in the East, they are getting an all-star. The coaches who vote on the reserves, they reward winning. They know who's good in the league. They know what's what. They're going to reward players on winning teams first. And so if Orlando is sitting at 4th or 5th in the East, and right now they're 4th, they play Miami, who's 5th tonight, potential playoff preview. I know we're all excited about that at the arena to be named Wednesday morning. We'll have coverage of that on Orlando Magic Daily. Yes, I know what the name is already. But if the Magic stay in that playoff position, they're going. The coaches will give them one guy, and so it is. I would honestly say at this stage a 75% chance, barring injury, barring extreme slump. It is fairly certain Paolo Banchero will be playing in Indianapolis on Sunday in February. He will be part of the Sunday game. But it is a team award, and one of the reporters at practice day was asking guys about Paolo getting a little bit of all-star buzz and what that means, and everyone said look, Paolo deserves it. He's a really good player, but it's really a statement about us as a team. It's really a statement of we are having the kind of season that deserves an all-star. Not that Paolo doesn't deserve it. He's averaging 26.2 points per game here in December. He's had a 40-point game. He just had a 36-point game. His assists have increased to 4.5, so nearly 4.5 per game. He's carrying a very large burden. His efficiency's improved. He's shooting about 48% from the floor. His efficiency's improved. He has taken some major steps forward to be in this position and to be one of the players that we're all watching, that we're all looking out for, to be a player that gets double and triple teamed. Honestly, Franz Wagner has very good numbers too, and obviously his shooting has been in a bit of a slump this year. Everyone knows how good Franz Wagner is. They're throwing double and triple teams at Paolo. They know that Paolo is the dude. But look, that's the numbers speak for themselves, in my opinion. The raw numbers speak for themselves, and there are a lot of great forwards in the East. Jason Tatum, Joel Embiid, and Giannis Antetokounmpo are going to be your starters on the East. I don't think anyone can argue with those three. They've all had fantastic seasons. Julius Randle is going to get some publicity for All-Star starting because the Boston Celtics are such a good team. Kristaps Porzingis will almost certainly get some look at being an All-Star as well. Jared Allen now might get a good look too if he helps the Cavs stay afloat. Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler will absolutely be in the running for an All-Star game. Yes, Toronto fans, Scotty Barnes and Pascal Siakam are certainly having All-Star caliber seasons. The team is struggling so much that I am still very skeptical that they will get All-Star bids, but especially since they're out of the playoff picture. But Scotty Barnes has had a really nice bounce back season in his third year. He has been a do-everything guy for them. They're ready to hand the keys to him, and we can't argue with that. I can certainly argue with Kevin Pelton on ESPN when he put Barnes in his starting group, which I think is a little ridiculous, and left Banchero completely out. Again, I think it's not just stats; it's a team award too. But all these guys are in the running. But like I said, it's as much a team award as anything else. The Magic have played well enough to earn an All-Star. And Paolo Banchero has played like an All-Star. If he continues this toured run that he's had in December through much of January, he will be an All-Star. And it's not just his raw scoring numbers. He's not just some chucker. And I think that reputation from college has followed him. He is a playmaker. Yeah, he's turning the ball over too much because A, he's a 21-year-old facing double and triple teams every night. But B, he's also trying to pass. He is not just jacking up the first shot he gets. He works. Watch him play. He reads the defense. He reads where the doubles are coming from. And yeah, he gets caught sometimes because he's young. He doesn't know what's happening. And the Magic spacing kind of sucks. But he makes great plays. Paolo Banchero is going to be an All-Star. We will have this pod again when the returns come out. Paolo Banchero is going to be an All-Star this year, one way or another, barring injury. barring injury, Paolo Banchero will be an all-star. And I'm just going to keep repeating it because he has been great. We talked about it yesterday. He is doing things that no Magic player has really done since Tracy McGrady. Like Dwight Howard, Nikola Vucevic did some of this, did this for sure. They're centers. They're not in the same category. Aaron Gordon did some of the things that Paolo's doing, but not at his age and not with his consistency. Same with Victor Oladipo. Aaron Aflalo was miscast as the leading scorer and carried that team as far as he could. Paolo Banchero is doing Tracy McGrady level stuff and not maybe that level, a notch below because T-Mac was awesome. But the fact of the matter is Paolo Banchero is going to be an all-star this year. And it's going to be the first of many. So vote. Get on that NBA app right now. If you didn't vote already today. Get on that NBA app right now. Get Paolo some votes. Make everyone know that it will not be surprising when he is named to the All-Star team because he is already at that level. And while he may not start and probably will not start, Paolo Banchero is going to be an all-star. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Of course, find me on Twitter at @PhilipRR_OMD. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all of them based on podcasts to your podcast-enabled listening device. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can, of course, follow me on there on Twitter at OMagicDaily. We'll have complete coverage on OrlandoMagicDaily.com of the Orlando Magic's new name to the arena. Yes, I am sitting here recording this at almost 11 o'clock Eastern time on Tuesday. I do know the name. I have seen photos. You're not going to feel any way about it. It's going to be okay. We'll all get through this. That will be announced Wednesday morning. We'll have complete coverage of that on OrlandoMagicDaily.com, as well as coverage of the game as well. Again, follow us there on Twitter at OMagicDaily. Also, be sure to check out my Patreon page for exclusive and extra content on the Orlando Magic. You can check that out at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. And as always, thank you all again for your support. Don't forget to check out as well the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. They're covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts like me of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel today. That's good to it for me, though. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. For Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.